This is BBC Two. The boys are back. The language is ripe. It's in widescreen, and have they got news for you?
Good evening and welcome to a brand new series in a week when newly appointed Director General Greg Dyke starts work at the BBC, and I think I'm speaking for all of us when I say that he was quite possibly the funniest guest that we've ever had, if only to look at. In the news this week, at the G8 summit, word spreads that the shaved parmesan and rocket salad is off the menu. Just months after Rupert Murdoch's wedding, the multi-millionaire's young bride is mistakenly informed that he's just died. And after a few beers on a Labour Party away day, John Prescott goes to extraordinary lengths to impress the ladies. On Paul Merton's team is a Lib Dem who's campaigning to get Welsh birth certificates for children born outside Wales. It seems rather cruel. Lembit Opik. And with Ian Hislop tonight is an actor who last year complained that he was stuck with playing bastards. No change tonight, I'm afraid. Martin Clunes. And so for the usual response to the announcement that it's time for round one. 4 stories from this week's news to regurgitate. Ian and Martin, take it away.
It's the Chinese. Hello, slitty eyes.
Yeah.
Traditional greeting. He's looking at the menu. Gosh, anyone to eat? Tony Blair. I'm going to shoot you, and you. That's some protesters. Why aren't there any police jumping on them? It is amazing the police can never do anything at all unless suddenly we've got a Chinese leader in our midst. And then there are millions of them everywhere, arresting old ladies for carrying flags. It's very depressing, wasn't it?
It's hideous. How did the Queen prepare for the arrival of the President?
She sellotaped the old man's mouth shut.
I was thinking rather more that she had Buckingham Palace feng shuied.
Did she?
Yeah.
That can chafe a corgi. Turn them all the other way. No.
And so how did they go about entertaining the President?
With the corgis.
They gave him a grand banquet. Mm-hmm. An army band played hits from the shows. I'm afraid that is true, yeah. I'm sure he enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, Hello Dolly and Simon and Garfunkel, they played a lot of that.
Hello Dalai, presumably. No, I'm probably
Very
not.
good.
And there was a bagpipe finale as well, and still he wouldn't go. It's so where else has he visited since he's been over here?
The Globe Theatre. He went to the Globe Theatre because I live opposite it and I videoed it in case somebody shot him. 25 of the dullest minutes you'll ever see on tape.
It might just have made you a multi-millionaire.
I think I'll go over it.
Yesterday afternoon, at a moving ceremony at 10 Downing Street, Prime Minister Tony Blair presented the Chinese president with a set of red flags, saying, "You might as well have these, we don't need them anymore." Paul and Lembit, who's back on top.
Peter Mandelson, obviously. The Prince. Yeah. Eating crisps.
I hope he's going to pay that back.
I'll be off then.
He's come back with a bang, as it were. Northern Ireland. I didn't mean it. No, really, I didn't. I have to work with him. And I actually think he's a nice man, and I think you're cruel in this programme about him. I think he's an OK guy.
We've got to be fairly careful on this programme what we say about Peter Mandelson still, I gather. Because someone tried to mention his private life the other day and got a stern rebuke from the Director General, the one who hasn't gone yet, even though he is going. And, hey, go quickly, why? Why hang about?
Who was it that got told off, then?
There was a man called Anthony Howard, and he was saying that in the province there are some quite strongly held views on matters sexual. Ian Paisley preaches against sodomites, and some of the Republican leadership, the Catholics, are not terribly liberal on those matters. So having someone arrive, say... who might have different views in general on those sort of issues might be a problem, and I think someone was trying to say this and got a note saying, be quiet.
I like him. I think he's all right. But I have to say that.
Why?
Because otherwise I'm never going to get a job with the government. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. It's the heat of the moment. I've been drinking.
That is true, yes, I can vouch for that. As Northern Ireland Secretary, he'll move into the sumptuous Hillsborough Castle, which has wonderful grounds and comes complete with its own ruined folly attached, or the Good Friday Agreement, as it's known. Ian and Martin, a tabloid spin for you. We're Jock-a-Block.
I think this is about the tickets for a football match between Scotland and, I guess, England. Scottish people who live in England who ring up and ask for tickets from the English are told they can't have them because they're found in possession of a Scottish accent.
And where did the calls get rerouted to? Did you read about this?
Autoglass.
Yes, that was it, Autoglass.
That's the only bit of the story that interested me.
There was apparently one member of staff at Autoglass who was trying to get through to Wembley and ended up getting through to the person he was sitting next to.
What I can't bear about this is it's assumed that sort of people who are English and Scottish therefore, you know, sort of automatically hate each other. And I mean, I'm half English and half Scottish, and you just get the impression as soon as football involved, I'm meant to sort of beat myself up. Which I don't really want to do.
Only wish, can't we? I suppose you find football a bit tame, don't you, Lembit? You're more of a dangerous sportsman.
I do sometimes paragliding. You know, I did break my back last year, but
amazing to find a politician with a backbone. But there we are.
Oh dear.
This is the failure of Wembley's state-of-the-art ticket phone lines. Some callers ringing for hours on mobiles were inadvertently put through to Autoglass windscreen repair, which was lucky, as the shock of actually getting through made them plough into the car in front. And finally, in this round, Paul and Lembit. Royal on the make.
Oh, this is this idiot, isn't it? Prince Edward. Prince Edward is going to host a sort of banquet where he has £540. Come and listen to Prince Edward talking like an idiot, and the money goes in his pocket. Hello, I'm Prince Edward. Come and have dinner with me. Give me the money. Thank you very much. He's the man that said earlier in the year that nobody in Britain likes success, he said. That's why they don't like me. He doesn't like us, we don't like him. Why didn't he just leave?
So what about his TV company, then?
Yeah, what about his TV company then?
Because it recently struck a deal with NBC.
Yes, he's going to put his grandmother on the telly. The Queen Mother.
But there was a slight snag.
Yes.
She doesn't want to go on with him. She said, can we have a proper TV company doing it?
And she actually died in 1978. It's an official secret. There's 5 people working her. And the Queen on Christmas Day. I mean, how many more years have we got to put up with that? Oh, it's been a very good year for the Commonwealth. That's when we open champagne in our house, I can tell you. Who cares? I want to go and live in China with their new chum.
Sing a few of the old songs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's thought that Edward would like Sophie to have several children fairly soon, partly because he loves kids, but mainly because he's running out of relatives to make documentaries about. So at the end of that round, the news for both teams is that amazingly, like Sophie and Edward, they're still together with 4 points apiece. The party conference season never fails to leave its mark, even if it is a rather pungent, slimy one. One film package per team. So what are the stories, Ian and Martin?
Labour.
It's the Labour Party conference. He's getting into his car.
Hunting.
Hunting.
We like hunting.
You don't. The first story, Prescott got into his car in order to drive 200 yards to announce that we should all go by public transport. Which, even for him, is pretty stupid.
And the pro-hunt campaigners were outside the festival, or whatever you call it, conference, saying, we like hunting and we don't like you. Blair then stood up and said, I don't like hunting and I don't like any of you and it's still going to be banned. And then a few days later said, oh, hunting! Oh, that's okay.
And what was the effect of the demonstration on Bournemouth?
Nil.
It actually brought Bournemouth to a standstill for 3 hours.
So, no change there.
Yeah.
Copyright Angus, years ago.
Please, help yourself.
Are you dishing out your catchphrases? Oh, well, can I grab one if I fancy it?
OK, I'll try and think of one between now and then.
In what way?
God, that must be one of the dullest catchphrases anyone's ever had in me.
Suits you, though.
Anyway, back to
Unlike
the
that
party
jacket.
conference. Yeah, it started.
It's fox skin.
Most
Nice
certainly
autumnal colours, though.
isn't. It's crimpline.
It's crumpling from back there.
Anyway, his keynote speech began, Mr. Blair.
He said, tally-ho. Mm-hmm. Most amusing. And then he said that the Conservatives had killed Martin Luther King. And therefore they should never take power again. And they'd locked up Nelson Mandela. And I think they'd hit Sooty once.
So what was your proposal that you came up with about fox hunting?
The middle way group. Well,
Yes.
we are completely against a ban on fox hunting and completely against not banning fox hunting either, really, if you see what I mean. It's like a third way. I mean, it's obvious if I explain it like that, isn't
It's
it?
quite a vague way,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah. We want it to continue but be regulated, you see, with a code of practice and a nice independent hunting authority and licences and stuff like that. It's an awfully reasonable idea.
Maybe you should give the fox a gun, or...
Well, that's just really a silly idea, isn't it?
Nothing gets past you, does it?
In what way?
No change there.
The pro-hunting demonstration was fronted by Robin Page, the presenter of One Man and His Dog, who led the 16,000 protesters along the seafront before rounding them up neatly into a small pen. Following his 270-yard chauffeur-driven journey, John Prescott deftly handled the media's probing questions.
Mr. Prescott, you're staying in a hotel only 100 or so yards from the conference. Why were you driven there this morning?
Because of the security reasons, for one thing, and second, my wife doesn't like to have her hair blown about. Have you got another silly question?
Minty! Well, you can see what's happened, though. You can see what happened. He's had the ear bashing from her and he's had enough of it. Oh, I'm not going over here. You told me when you were Deputy Prime Minister that I could... All right, get in the car.
In fact, Mr. Prescott's slick performance skills were in evidence even back in 1991.
John Prescott, what would a Labour government do for the trade unionists at GCHQ?
Immediately return them to work. We have no... I should say CGHQ.
GCHQ.
Yeah, no. Immediately return them to work at the GCHQ. Immediately return them to work at GH.
You suggested that we'd be hearing the F word on kids' TV soon, didn't you, once upon a time?
I said I wouldn't be surprised.
If you were on. Martin Clunes reads Jack and Ulrich.
It was...
Listen with mother... That won't go out.
Right, it's over to you, Paul and Lembit, your seaside special.
Right, yes. Because obviously we know who they are.
Mr. and Mrs. Thatcher.
Yeah. This is the BBC programme Walking with Dinosaurs. And that's abroad.
That was Treaty of Rome. He wants to renegotiate the Treaty of Rome. Looked like
Treaty of
Venice, but I
Venice,
bet you it wasn't. It's the same, isn't it?
No, it actually refers to a notable absence from...
John Major. Wasn't there, was he?
Ah.
Don't you think that's the three most boring words in the English language? The major years. His book.
It's absolutely fascinating on the telly, though, isn't it?
It is quite good on the telly, though. Because Lamont and him...
Lamont's
one of
come
them's
across...
lying.
He's come across as an absolute charmer, it has to be said. But strangely, no culpability for anything happened in his office during his time there whatsoever. Remarkable.
Blameless.
And he barged my wife out of the way. My heavily pregnant wife got barged by Lamont in Hatchards.
Well, kill him.
He didn't even notice he'd done it. He was trying to sell his book there, and he was desperate to find out how many he'd sold, the big turd.
One delegate, Ian Littlegranger, stood up during the agriculture debate and brandished a raw leg of lamb. Unfortunately, his actual words were drowned out by the sound of frenzied howling from Baroness Thatcher. Mrs. Thatcher's husband was also at the conference and, by all accounts, on sparkling form. And for an extra point, whose speech was it that he wasn't listening to?
William Hague's.
And Widdicombe's.
Someone that, well, you're rather keen on.
Jeffrey Archer's.
It's your mate. Jeffrey Archer's, did you say?
Jeffrey Archer's speech, apostrophe
Oh, I
S.
see. I thought there was more than one of them. My God.
I hope
Yes.
he hasn't claimed himself.
Dolly the Mare.
Might be something to do with share dealing.
Yes. So that's all the party conference news, really, isn't it?
Isn't that a bit unfair? Haven't you left one out?
Did you have one?
We had a very nice conference, actually.
How was it? I didn't
Charles
read about it.
made a very funny joke, and Paddy said goodbye. That was about it, really. It was good.
Right. You're forgetting your own input, of course.
Look, you promised me you wouldn't bring that up, and it was just between us at the time.
At the conference, I'm talking about.
Oh, right, sorry. I made so many speeches. It was the asteroid impact, which probably is for the extra point. Yes, did you know you're 750 times more likely to die in an asteroid impact than to win the lottery this weekend? Not a lot of people know that.
You're mad.
I'm trying to get the government to take action about asteroids, and Lord Sainsbury has agreed to set up a task force. So
What, and genetically modify them?
Am I right in thinking there is an Opik asteroid?
there is an asteroid called Opik's asteroid, indeed, up there somewhere in the heavens. And when NASA said there was an asteroid coming towards Earth, I innocently remarked to a journalist that I hoped it wasn't Opik's asteroid, leading to the best headline I've had since being elected: MP to blame for end of the world. We Liberal Democrats can't make a difference, you see.
So how did it come to get your surname?
It was me granddad who was an asteroid enthusiast. He was a professional. He wasn't an asteroid. He used to be very big in asteroids.
Well,
and they named an asteroid after him for his work. And
so instead of like getting a gold clock, they said, that one's yours.
that's actually exactly as it was. And you think that's funny, do you?
No, no. I'm just trying to...
Do you have an asteroid named after you?
No, I have several planets.
Oh, that's right, yes. Paul Jupiter, is it? No. Yes.
Uranus,
And,
mostly.
And a suburb of London, of course. I was being rude, of course. There was one worthwhile one worthwhile moment from the Lib Dem conference when Charles Kennedy pledged that the Liberal Democrats' days as a political laughingstock were over.
Question over there.
That was the wing. We're just waiting for the prayer. Which party games bring an end to this brief confab, and it's Ian and Martin who warrant the standing ovation, leading as they do 7-6. If it's round 3, it must be odd one out, as the saying has never gone. One per team, Paul and Lembit, Tony Blair, Napoleon Bonaparte, Sylvester Stallone and Baby Spice.
Oh, God, no clues. High heels.
Well,
High heels.
It could be, is it height, insoles. They're all short, and he had some insoles.
Which one? Tony Blair?
Yeah, that one there.
So you're saying he wears insoles to make himself high?
So she's got heels.
She's got high heel shoes on.
So it's got to be one of them.
Well, Sylvester Stallone is...
He'll wear them, and they didn't invent them. So Napoleon Bonaparte, cars, they probably didn't have insoles for short people when he was around.
is the wrong answer.
Is it Baby Spice the odd one out then?
Why?
Because she doesn't... Well, she's got platform shoes on there.
And what about the others?
They're all insolers.
Is the right answer. Yes, that's right. Is it right you used to run a ladies' shoe shop?
Yes. Did you want some? I normally handle people like you through mail order, but I'm happy to. I've still got some size 7 residual stock, if you really are.
Thank you. 9.5 actually, but
no, you could squeeze into a 7. Big boy.
Baby Spice was once run over, apparently, by an ice cream van, and to this day, that horrible jangly music still reminds the driver of why he ran her over in the first place. 5'7" Sylvester Stallone suffers from a facial nerve problem, which means that one side of his face is unable to register an expression, although which side that is anyone's guess. Ian and Martin, P.D. James, Pitt the Younger, Dirk Bogarde, and Darcy Bustle.
Really don't know.
Is this an honours question? Because she's Baroness, P.D. James, I believe. Dirk Bogarde was also honoured. He was Sir Dirk at the end.
Lord Bustle.
I think she was given a...
I bet she was. William Pitt the Younger is the odd one out. I bet they gave her an award for dancing nicely.
Thank you.
Is P.D. James anyone who's too posh to have a passport photograph? There's an oil painting. That's her oil painting in a passport.
Well, oddly enough, you're in the right area. It is an artistic question and a political question.
Yes.
Oh, their pictures are all in number 10?
Apart from Dirk Bogarde.
Apart from...
Pitt the Younger.
Is the right answer. Very good. Well, the answer is more precisely that their portraits have all replaced more traditional paintings at number 10, except for Pitt the Younger, who was one of those replaced.
Look at Pitt the Younger and tell me that isn't Margaret Thatcher.
P.D. James recently provoked a row when she suggested that only the educated middle classes could properly agonise over the moral repercussions of their crimes. They then wait a few months and waltz back into Cabinet as Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. One of the panellists tonight modelled for a picture some 16 years ago by the acclaimed artists Gilbert and George, and I'm sure he will be delighted to discover that we can enjoy it all over again now.
I never saw this picture at the time. I just sort of went, I got 15 quid. I went and sat, they were very nice, took my picture, and off I went. And never went to the exhibition, and it wasn't until the Mirror dug them up that I saw them. When
the Mirror found out about this, they in fact speculated on how Martin would have looked had he modelled for artists such as Leonardo da Vinci, Andy Warhol, or Michelangelo. which masterstrokes show that Paul and Lembit are still very much in the picture, exhibiting as they do a Model 9. And so to the brief delirium of our final missing words round, the usual array of blank headlines and indeed expressions, including many or none from this week's guest publication, the peerless Fencing News. News for people with fences. So eyes down, look in on chicken dials what?
Is it Kentucky Fried People? Human beings in a BAP.
999.
M for murder?
999 in a fowl's alarm. The chicken was in Norfolk, dialing 999 by repeatedly stepping on the number 9 key, which is kind of amazing. You thought he'd use his beak, wouldn't you?
Did anyone ever answer?
Yes. Yes, they did.
And which service did he want?
He was unable to speak, being a chicken.
Ah.
Next, what with a llama?
Fencing. It's a new Olympic sport, fighting animals. Arm wrestling pumas.
Dalai.
Say it with a llama.
Darling, I love you.
Here's half a push me pull you.
No, it is in fact Be Calmer with a llama. This is the Llama Therapeutic Group in Vancouver, where clients pay £100 a day for the therapeutic qualities of llamas with names such as Rocky, Showgirl, Wildfire and Covergirl. Clients get their own room, but they're free to sleep alongside their llamas if they really want to. Is it me, or is that slightly strange?
They're lovely animals, actually.
Are they really?
They're great big eyes and eyelashes.
Can we move on?
Next, they don't pussyfoot in the States with what?
Fencing. Got to be fencing.
Cat shoes.
Big
Cat
cats.
shoes.
They don't put you on the States
Wild
with
cats.
cat shoes.
Yeah, they've just invented cat shoes.
What's that, a sort of type of peanut, isn't it? It's a peanut with a cold. Is it fencing?
It is a type of fencing, but it's from America.
A barbed
Picket.
wire. Electronic fencing.
Yes, electric
With
fences.
armed
very
guards,
good.
dogs.
And finally, by 2010, Britain will be what?
20 minutes away from 8:30.
Gridlocked.
No, this
no.
is about. There's going to be so
It
many
will
single
be
people.
Unmarried and eating alone.
Yeah, big singles bar. This
Britain
is-
will be
Single,
Germany.
Single and eating alone.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Britain will be Germany. But yes, giant
France.
singles bar.
Giant single
in fact,
bar, yeah.
not-
Right.
Single women will thrive due to their enhanced social skills, and single men will flounder in lonely isolation, unless there's a llama on hand. Which random pickings mark the end for tonight's gathering, and the final product is that this week's Dead Wood are Ian and Martin with 11, while this week's Live Wires are Paul and Lembit with 14. And I leave you with news that there's a sticky moment at the Labour Party conference as a delegate mentions socialism. There's tension at NATO HQ as another Chinese embassy is accidentally hit. And in central London, a charity auction gets an unexpected boost as Michael Portillo donates his shower curtain. Good night.
And there'll be more news for you on Friday at 9 o'clock and again next Saturday at 9:30 here on BBC Two.